Okay guys, welcome to the third tutorial. In the previous tutorial we downloaded everything we needed to launch our environment, and in this tutorial that's exactly what we're going to do. So I decided to actually recreate the Nenv environment from scratch, just so that we go through all the steps together. So let me just copy this command here and just do the installation. And once it's done, I will install all the packages that we need to install as well. Okay, our environment is installed now. I'm going to enter that environment now. So dot, and then the nenv, and then bin, and then activate. And I'm inside the environment now, so node -- version. We have it here. I'm going to npm install yarn. And I'm also going to install the CLI for using near protocol. Okay, near CLI, we have a link here. And command line interface, there should be right on the GitHub. Where is my... Here it is, npm install -g for global, and then CLI copy. Forgot to do -gr. Let me do remove, and then install -g. I need global yarn installation. Okay, and then here I also need the global near CLI installation as well. So I'm going to run that inside our environment to get our near CLI going. It's going to take a little time. Okay, and here we go. Now going to run near, and right now we see all the environment variables and everything is pointing at the testnet distribution. So this is the default near configuration that we have right now. So that's done. The next step that we need to do is to launch the actual kurtosis module so that it starts up our local environment over here. So this command right here adds the execution permission to our shell script. So when I go in this directory that I have, the dev crypto tutorials near, at our home folder, oops, and I list what's inside, and I could do ls-la. Over here we see the what is permitted for this file. So here we have read write execute, read write execute. Initially you do not have this X here, so we need it in order to run the shell script. So now that I'm inside this near environment and I can have access to Docker still, I will run the near launch cluster. You just keep in mind that this near launch cluster is just a renamed launch local near cluster file. That's all it is. It's the same thing. I just renamed it for my convenience. That's all. Okay, let's go back to our terminal and I'm going to run it. Near launch cluster, and I'm going to press enter, and now we are going to wait a little bit. When you run it for the first time, it will actually have to download a bunch of stuff. So considering that I ran it from a different cluster already, I already have the Docker containers downloaded into my system, which means that it should start a lot faster than when you will run it for the first time. Okay, so here we go. We have our local system started up, and over here we have a bunch of defaults that are returned. I actually saved them into this file that we have in this Git repository. So it's a startup values. So if you open this thing, these startup values, they're usually the same, but sometimes they change. So in particular, this one right here, the neartosis folder, this one right here is the one which stores your validator_key.json file. And right here, if you look at it, it is different because it's date based essentially. So this will change between files, but these addresses will not. These addresses should stay the same, as well as the near helper account default. All this should stay the same. So I created another file in order to help us with this. It is actually this near config shell. So if we look here, over here, it basically is the same as what we saw in the startup values. So it sets all these environment variables, and you need to supply this directory name, and it will actually look inside the home folder that you're running it from. So home folder, then the near tosis, because that's exactly where it is sitting. So if I open our home folder and open the show hidden files, over here there are two directories. One is near tosis, and this is where we have this. This is where our blockchain files live, our blockchain validator files, and they change based on this directory changes based on the date when you start your local blockchain again. There might be a way to switch it so it just uses the same thing all the time, but I haven't figured it out yet. Okay, so we need to, whenever we run this startup script to start the near enclave, we will have to supply the directory name, which is the latest directory name which was started when we last started using this file. So in this case it's going to be 1446.54. These two are old, so we don't need them. And I'm going to copy this. Actually, I might just copy it from here. Control-Shift-C, and then run my config. Now, the way to run config is actually say source, and then config, near config, sh, okay? And then when we run it, it'll say, did you switch node to environment? It means that are we in this nenv? Just to make sure that we are not running it in the local without this internal environment, and prepend source, like so, meaning did we set this source? We're saying yes, we did, and then near tosis private key directory. I'm going to paste this and enter, and off we go. So now if I'm going to run near, we can see that our default now is 127.0.0.1. You see? So now our near command line works with our local near setup. So this is it. We have our local near running on our system. We have our near CLI configured to point at our local environment system. And in the next tutorial, we're actually going to start dealing with how do we create a wallet account, how do we get the key for the wallet account, because there's a little bit of Frankensteining that we will have to do right now because there's some bug that's happening. But I will show you that in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And don't forget to follow and subscribe. Like and subscribe. That's going to be a good help for me. All right. Okay. Have a good one. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.